Hey y'all, it's Mandy, and we're going to be talking about my 21st week on Mounjaro. But you probably already know that by the title of the video. Um, Not only is it my 21st week on Mounjaro, but I'll go ahead and mention that it is my 13th injection with 7.5. And I'll tell you in just a minute why I chose to mention that. Some things that have happened this week. If you didn't catch my last two videos, go check those out and you'll hear my struggle with dehydration. lost the word there. And so the last 2 weeks I've really been working hard to rehydrate. And what can happen when you've been dehydrated and during the process of rehydration is what's called a whoosh effect. Basically what that is when you're dehydrated, your body fights to hold on to every bit of fluid that it can. And a lot of times you will notice that your hands, your fingers, your ankles, and your little toes and everything just looks and feels puffy. But then as you keep working towards rehydration, your body will whoosh, which means that it will decide, okay, we're getting rehydrated, so we can let go of what we've been trying to preserve, and it will flush that fluid that it's been holding on to. Most people notice that you'll just go pee more. Some people have said that they sweat more, and some experience both. For me, it was both. But I can tell that my body whooshed because my fingers and my toes are back to normal. Thank God. Now, that is why I knew last week, and I probably mentioned it, that I knew that was why the scale jumped up the way that it did. And I could tell when my body was, flushing those fluids, not only through more urination, but I'm a daily weigher, and I seen the scale going back down. Still drinking a liquid IV every day because I do have like some lingering dry mouth, because not only am I on GLP-1, if you don't know, I also had gastric sleeve weight loss surgery in 2020, and the GLP-1 kind of took it back to the early days, mimicking the early days after weight loss surgery, when you just can't eat as much, can't drink as much, and you definitely cannot do both without, some sort of pain happening. And so I went back to the basics myself in my habits and started setting reminders on my phone, timers for every 15 minutes to remind myself to drink some water. And that is working out, but I still have some dry mouth going on. So I don't feel like I'm necessarily like having as much water as my body has been accustomed to, but I don't feel like I'm necessarily dehydrated either. Now, I do take allergy pills, which can cause dry mouth, so it might be a little bit of that going on too. But that is where we're at with the dehydration, so we're good on that front, thank God. And so if you're experiencing the scale going up and then you notice that your hands and feet are kind of puffy, kind of take inventory of your fluids that you're drinking or not drinking, and maybe up those and see if that helps. Okay, something else that has happened this week that I want to talk about is that I am experiencing some hunger more often than usual, and not just more often, but stronger than I was. Get a drink of this iced protein coffee. I also have my liquid IV close by, and that is why I mentioned that it is my 13th week on 7.5, because most people would be, ready to call their doctor and get bumped up to, what is it, the 10 milligram that's next after 7.5? I think so. Now I'm going to share with you why I'm choosing not to be bumped up. I kind of knew just had a feeling that 7.5 was going to be, the ceiling for me. Because I am also a weight loss surgery patient, and even when after weight loss surgery, it's referred to as that honeymoon phase, I kind of figured that there was going to be a honeymoon phase with the GLP-1 too. In my mind, there was going to be, because they just resemble each other so much, in my experience. And for me, that is what I feel like is happening. Your body, not just the GLP-1s, with all things really, it becomes accustomed to things. It adapts over time, with all things really. And so I kind of knew that was going to happen. And I'm not sure that 7.5 is even going to be my maintenance dose. I think I might be okay eventually, even though I'm having some hunger now, be able to go back down to 5 milligrams. And now I'm going to tell you why. I've mentioned before in my other videos that my favorite form of exercise is strength training. I love weightlifting, and I always have. My stepdad introduced me to that when I was 16 years old, and I instantly fell in love with it. I loved that feeling of just being stronger, and just all those endorphins, and all. If you know, you know. Not only do I love that feeling after a good weight session, I actually enjoy the weight session. And for a lot of people, it's more the feeling after. For me, I love both. And so, with that being said, just in our day-to-day lives, we expend energy just to get up out of the bed, to breathe, for our organs to function, and all that. And we need to replenish that energy that our body uses through calories, through food. It's just the way it works, okay? And now, I say calories because that's what I pay attention to. At the end of the day, I don't care if you're counting carbs, if you're counting fat, what it is you're counting. If you are not in a caloric deficit, you will not lose fat. That is just scientific facts. I'm not here to argue with anybody. Count what you want to count. If it's working for you, then it's working for you. But if you are losing fat, you are in a calorie deficit. I promise you are. Now, I'm not an expert. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just somebody who knows how to read, and I do a lot of it. And I'm somebody who has struggled with their weight for most of their adult life, and just I've done a lot of research, done a lot of the diets, and calories is definitely what counts. And that number is going to be different for everybody. So if you're going to like a doctor that's just going to slap you on a 1,200 calorie diet and tell you to come back in 2 weeks or whatever, sis, find you another doctor, because that's not how that needs to be done. And we'll go into that in another video. But I'm really going to break down my plan, my approach, starting next week on. I'm going to do that in a separate video because I don't want this update to be too long. So I'm just going to touch on what my plan is from here on out and why it is what it is. And that's where I'll start now. It is what it is now because I have failed approaching it all the other ways. And so, what is the definition of insanity? We all probably know that. If you don't, Google it. So, in the past, I have been really obsessive with numbers when it comes to tracking food. I got just burned out multiple times over and over, and what I'm trying to say is I'm not going to put myself through that mental stress again. I'm not here for it. I'm not I'm not feeling it, and so I'm not going to do it. So my plan of approach now for, what is that they're saying now, the era that I'm in, is that I am going to get back into weightlifting, which is going to cause me to have more hunger. That's just what our bodies do, which is why I'm not going to have my dosage upped or even request for it to be, because I'm going to need to feel that hunger, and I'm going to need to fuel my body as I introduce more strenuous exercise. Now, the past, I don't know, 21 weeks, I have been in weight loss mode. Not just, I usually would refer to it as fat loss mode, but I'm saying weight loss mode because my main tool has been the scale, and I can visibly see, physically feel that I have definitely lost some muscle. And my plan this time around has been to get to my goal weight first, and then, well, basically put some weight back on. And now, I know that sounds crazy, but if you know anything about weightlifting, then you know what I'm about to say. And what I'm about to say is not that muscle weighs more than fat, because it in fact does not. If you have a pound of one thing and you have a pound of another thing, you still have a pound. You just have a pound of two different things. But what is the case is that 1 pound of muscle just takes up less space than 1 pound of fat, because a pound of muscle is more dense. So therefore, a pound of muscle just looks better, in my opinion, let me add that, on my body versus 1 pound of fat. So, and I say that I'm going to be putting weight back on because whether it's a pound of fat or whether it's a pound of muscle will reflect on the scale. Now, if you are planning this same approach, if you have already started lifting weights, I highly suggest that you get yourself a one of the cloth tape measures. Do your measurements, because sis, that scale is going to make you want to pull your hair out if that's the only thing you're using and you are incorporating strength training in your exercise routine. Pay attention to how your clothes fit, all the things. I decided to take the approach that I'm taking now because in the past, like I said, I became too obsessive with those numbers, with the nutrition, and trying to achieve a perfect balance of, with the numbers working and me saying, I don't understand what's happening because, according to this notebook, I should have lost X amount of pounds this week, and and all of that. All that being said, let's get into these numbers because that's probably why most of you are here. You want to hear the numbers. Now, I always mention my numbers back for weight loss surgery because a lot of you have been here with me since then, and I don't ever want to fail to leave that part out of this journey because it's been, a huge part of my journey. So, my highest weight was 259.2. Day of surgery, I weighed in on the hospital scale at 250. When I started GLP-1, which was Saxenda, I weighed in at 199.9. When I started Mounjaro, I weighed 177. Last week, I weighed 149, which was up. I gained some weight last week, but I don't remember how much I gained. But this week, the scale is back down. I weighed in at 146 on the dot, which means I'm literally 1 pound from my goal weight. So, I predict that next week I will be able to tell you that I am at my goal weight. Okay, with all those numbers being said, this means that I am down 104 pounds since gastric sleeve surgery in June of 2020. I am down 53.9 pounds since starting the GLP-1. I'm down 31 pounds since starting Mounjaro. I'm down 3 pounds since last week. And I'm down a total of 113.2 pounds. That still just sounds so wild to me to say that I've lost over 100 pounds. I mean, I said it last week and I'll say it again this week. It's like it's just not hit me yet. It just doesn't feel real. I don't know. That's weird. And I experienced the same thing after my tummy tuck. After wanting it for so long and working towards it for so long, when it happened, that just excitement wasn't there that I thought was going to be there. I don't know if it's just because, you know, aesthetically, I'm not where I want to be yet, like visually, my goal, or if it's that I played it up too much prior to. I'm not sure. Maybe a little bit of both. Who knows? Not that I'm not grateful for, you know, all those things, for the gastric sleeve. I am very grateful. Very grateful that I was able to have the tummy tuck and get rid of that loose skin that was really discouraging for me, even in the sense of exercising. I felt like here I was doing all these things and not seeing the results because I had all this stuff in the way, and it was just it was discouraging and it was frustrating. So thanks for watching. If you've not subscribed already, subscribe already. I appreciate it if you do so, and if you like this kind of content, give this video a thumbs up. It really helps my channel. Stick around. We do all sorts of things here. We do travel, try on, recipes, just life. This is life in my little corner of the internet, as goes life over here. So see you in less than a week, because I plan to pop on and share more specific things about my plan moving forward once I lose 1 more pound on the scale. Bye, guys.